Today I'm going to talk about a feature called Mixture of Agents. And it's as easy as selecting your model MOA, default, and that's how easy it is to eventually use it. So the first thing you want to do when you get set up is open a new session in Hermes Agent. I like to use the desktop. And what you're going to do is we're going to go into settings and set up what we want to use as our MOA models and our aggregator. So in this case, I'm first going to put it on high. I don't think we need ultra for this. So if you want your MOA aggregator and individual agents to be on ultra, high, whatever setting you want, you set it up there. We're going to turn on fast though. I like the fast mode. And then down here we have mixture of agents. So here you can see where you can set it up, and you can choose any model you like. In this example, I'm going to use my Codex subscription instead of API because my Codex subscription just refreshed. So let's give it a go. I think it refreshed. So we choose our provider here, and again, you can use anything you like. I think Flash models are particularly good for this because you want it to kind of go quickly, especially if you're going to use 2, 3, or even 4 models. But you could use bigger models here. So let's go with the Codex subscription. And then we have our options here, and we're going to go with Luna. And if you recall, OpenAI just increased the usage of Luna, or I guess they dropped the cost, which then increases the usage of Luna. So you get 80% more usage of Luna, which is why I think it's a really good idea to use it as a mixture, as one of your agents in this MOA mixture. And then DeepSeek v4 Flash, we all know the cost of that, although it's increasing soon, so maybe that's not the model you want to use in the future. Maybe you can go to like a light coding subscription from ZAI or GLM. They make the GLM models, and you can even use something like 5 Turbo. That's really good for agentic tool calls and reasoning, but let's just use DeepSeek for now. We'll go with the Flash model. You could throw in Pro here too. And currently I V4 Pro set up, but like I said, OpenAI recently, they changed up the amount of usage you get out of the Terra model. So let's use Terra. I think Terra is a good middle ground in terms of just giving you, because it's going to have to look at 2 answers and be able to figure out the best response for you. So we want something with a little extra reasoning for the aggregator. You could use Sol, you could use Opus if you want, you could use V4 Pro like I had, but just generally a model that has a little bit, higher reasoning. Although I guess the way Flash and Pro kind of is with DeepSeek, Flash is kind of like the better model at the moment, but you get the idea. So then we're gonna hit apply, and that's all we have to do to set it up. And then, like I said, when you create a new session, and then you go ahead and you just select it right from here. And it's still on Ultra for some reason. I'm not sure why, but whatever. We'll go with it. I don't think you need Ultra. If you can get away with high, I think you should do that. So anyway, we're going to get started here. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to ask a question in the chat so you can see how it works, and you can follow along with what we're doing here all the way down, just so you can just see what we're discussing. So let's go ahead and ask it the first question. So the first thing we're going to do is do 5 email subject lines. Now I'm kind of approaching this from a marketer standpoint, but maybe you have some email subject lines that you need to send out internally. You just want some ideas, but let's put together 5 email subject lines for cold outreach. Just going to use that as an example. Let's try a mixture of angles. Let's do one. Let's do one with increase your website traffic. 2, increase clicks on your ads. 3, increase your social media engagement. Maybe 1 can just be, schedule a free call. And these are really very generic, but, just to get the idea. And then 1, let's try include metrics like increase your Google page ranking to page 1. I don't know, something like that. Don't use any existing 5 emails. So 3 sets. So we're going to give it a pretty hefty task. And so that way you can see how these agents kind of reason with one another, and then Terra will give us that final answer. So let's go ahead and send it out. And it's going to go ahead and start thinking. And you'll see that come up. I could actually even probably set like launch sub agents to do each one, but I'm not exactly sure how sub agents work with mixture of agents. I wonder if each agent in the MOA gets a sub. I don't know. But anyway, so here's the next steps. This is it's now laying out the plan, and it thought through it really quickly. But just so you can see how that works. So this is the back end reasoning, and you can see the reference here. So the first one is the Codex GPT Luna set. Right here, just giving it 3 sets of 5 like I asked. And then reference 2 was the DeepSeek one. It's kind of interesting to see how they go through the reasoning. Flash had a little bit more, kind of more back end thinking to it. So yeah, so you get kind of both versions of it, and then Terra, and then MOA aggregating, that's Terra. So now we have our 3 sets of emails combined from the different models. And one interesting thing is you can see that not everyone kind of came through the way that it was written originally. It kind of combined the different ones together to give you the best one. So it's kind of like you're doing 2 sessions in one with this mixture of agents, and you can even throw in a third. If we want to throw in, like I said, GLM5 Turbo, throw that in. If you want to throw in a Quen model, you want to throw a Minimax, you want to throw in whatever you like, go ahead. So pretty cool how we get that. Now let's start another session here, and that's another cool thing with Hermes Agent desktop app. You can now have, I don't know where it went, but you can in theory have multiple sessions open at the same time. Also, be aware of some glitches. That happens sometimes. If that happens, just quit and restart. I'm not going to, but anyway. So moving on to the next one. So now let's go to example 2. So we have our mixture of agents selected here, and we can now we're going to do a web search for what are the best email marketing tools, AI email marketing tools. What are the best ones? What are the trends? What can we use? So let's just copy and paste that. So I'll just fix this up to make it more of a prompt. Let's enlist 3 trends with sources. And we can also provide your thoughts on the best one to try out first. Now, this is just a general question. And so, again, you have your default MOA set. Now let's launch this little prompt, and then we can kind of go through how it did its web search on the back end and see the results. Okay, so as you can see here, it's DeepSeek was the first one up. You can see its thought process here. That's why I like using these flash models, especially for these kind of just general search questions. So this is the reference 1. Okay, so 5.6 Luna up top, and then you can see what it researched, and then came up with some answers, and then DeepSeek also did its own research down here. And then you have the aggregator, who's now putting together the final answer for us, which is Terra. You can see it putting together, it's even creating us a document. That's nice. And it asks for an MD, but hey, we'll take a markdown. And it should just put it in our project folder here. It's right here. There it is. So anyway, let's let it finish up. Okay, so now we have our answer, and this is the one provided by Terra. And if you're interested in some marketing AI marketing tools, you can try it out yourself. But I'm not going to sit here and read through the whole thing, but just so you can see the answer, um, and it's pretty in depth and providing instructions. Start with trend one. Um, Closest to revenue, works with a small list, produces a clear answer fast. Cool. Mail or light. I never tried that one. Maybe I'll give it a try actually. I don't know. It has a 14-day premium trial. We even have our sources here listed if we want to check that out. And we have our MD right here with all the answers, so we can always go back to it later. Okay, so the last thing we'll do is now a quick data analysis. Now I think this is where a mixture of agents could really help out a lot. And to me, this could be really useful doing your own finances, doing marketing analysis, doing business analysis, anything like that. So I had to create just a mock Google Ads, poll, nothing special. And I actually restarted Hermes, so now I can. It had a persistence bug, so now I'm at the setting I set before, which is fast and high. I don't think we need ultra for this. And as you can see, your sessions are up here if you ever want to switch back and forth. So something to note, the desktop app works in local storage. So if you ever hit a bug like that, go into terminal, ask it to investigate local storage and reset your local storage. That was the bug. So side note, but anyway, so let's put together a little prompt to analyze Google Ads. So I'll show you quickly what I'm analyzing just so you can see it. Very simple. So we're gonna ask questions like what's the best campaign, and then have it put together like a walk forward strategy. What should we try next? Okay, so take a look at the Google Ads data. We can even just 3 best ads for conversions and costs per conversion. 1 table for ads with the best impressions. 1 table for best CPC. 1 table showing top 3 overall ads. So that'll be the first question we ask it. And you can just, again, see how the 2 models will essentially have a little meeting together, each discuss their talking points, and then our aggregator will pull it all together for us. Okay, there goes 5.6 Luna, launching first, and it's going to take a peek at the ads. And it's a lot of data, so give it a moment if you're doing this kind of analysis. And the one thing I like about doing these things live is that sometimes you expose bugs and how to fix them in real time. So like before what happened was we lost our top bar, which wouldn't let me do multiple sessions, wouldn't let me close what I had open in this preview pane. So, just another thing, nothing's ever perfect. Hermes Agent desktop app is always being updated. It's open source. So it's to be expected. It's not as polished technically as, OpenAI and Anthropic, but I think, Hermes Agent Desktop is getting there. It's really something I lean on every day for work. I use mixture of agents for things similar to this. And as you can see, it really does have a lot of benefits. And this is a project folder. I have something I really like. So it takes, Anthropic has co-work, OpenAI has a new, work feature. And this is how Hermes just automatically is. It's always working off your files. You don't have to be in different modes. You can use any model. So a little side note, it has its bugs and moments, but the potential, if you can work through that, is really here and really shines. And you can even see this is my project folder here. And so anyway, let's go through this data quick. As you can see, best campaigns for conversions and cost per conversion. It pulled out the brand search, PMAX, and shopping. Cool. And we have our conversions, cost per conversion, campaigns with the best impressions. So a little bit different. in this case. Now, that could tell you something if you're, it makes sense. These seem like these were awareness campaigns, so they're going to be more focused on just that awareness. So it makes sense they have more impressions. Campaigns with the best cost per click. Again, you can be looking at this in different funnels. This is just example data, but essentially this is like the thinking you can go through, and you can be confident that the analytics is pulling are accurate because it's two separate agents thinking, so they kind of have to match in order for the aggregator to even pull it out, which I think is useful for analytics because sometimes you don't know, is a model hallucinating what it's seeing? And this is two models looking at the same thing and then one aggregator looking at those answers. So the answers have to match, so it's kind of like a kind of a quality check as you're doing your research. So top 3 overall campaigns, brand search did really well with that 340 conversions. Solid campaign for sure, if this was real. Top seller campaign did well, and the PMAX core products. Okay, so now that we have our best ads, what are the recommendations for a walk forward strategy for, let's say, Q4 and the holidays? Provide sample ad headlines, keywords. Let's just pretend this is I don't know, let's say this is a clothing brand, keywords for a clothing brand. And then let's also say best time of day to run campaigns. And then also maybe we can do best types of ads to run. Google search, YouTube, and let's let it kind of figure itself out. I'm wondering how it does because there's no specific brand in this example. I just kind of told it it's a clothing brand. So yeah, anyway, let's do that and see how it does. And just to bring up that image from before while that loads. So yeah, again, it's the two agents talking to each other, and then Terra takes those answers, gives you your final answer. And then I think that's very cool. And then actually, I'm curious while that's doing, can agents launch sub-agents in MOA mode? Basically, can each agent launch individual sub-agents? Is that possible in Hermes desktop app? I'm kind of curious about that myself. So that's another research question, kind of like that AI email marketing tool research question. So let's see what our models come up with. And you can see here, Luna's already at work coming up with some ad planning for us. This is what I meant before about being able to swap between sessions. I think that's cool, and you can even give one a color. If that works. No, all right. Well, color. It's in theory. I think it's a good idea. You can move it to projects. You can pick where you want that to go. You can copy IDs, so you can take the session and start a new session on it. And yeah, I think that's a cool feature. Again, these are all things that are always in motion with Noose Research, who makes Hermes Agent, and it just shows you the potential. And also you have access to your terminal down here, so you can also run your terminal commands. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so in MOA mode itself, you cannot run sub-agents. Okay. So it would need to be a main agent. Okay. Now I was curious if that was possible. So essentially, you do have sub-agents kind of working the way MOA kind of works, but each agent in MOA cannot launch sub-agents. You would have to have a standalone agent doing that. Okay, it looks like our research is done here, and pretty thorough research, some negative keywords. And again, I feel pretty confident because this was, well, it's very thorough, and also again, this was the product of two different agents, and you can see their thought process here if you just want to see how they each thought about it. And I think that's a really cool feature when you're coming up with strategy. Sometimes two heads are better than one, and yeah, I mean, we don't have to go through all of this, but I just from a quick breeze through, this looks pretty solid. I would tweak it. I always tweak things myself afterwards anyway, but yeah, and if you have a Notion MCP connection, you could even drop it in Notion. So let's give it a link. Let's give it a page to drop it in. I have Notion open on my other screen. And so now we can even take that. We can put it in Notion. We could look at it further. Maybe we have some more client information in Notion to combine with it. There's a lot of ways you can go with it. You can also save it to your folder here. I have project folders for different clients, different projects. So yeah, I think the way you could use these agents, this mode, is very interesting. It's very versatile, and I think also you can feel more confident in the answers. I think Luna and Luna and Flash are both very good models at the lower end of the spectrum. They're really not anymore. Luna and V Flash Pro are both, pushing honestly close to Opus levels if they're not there yet. I think they kind of are. So yeah, you have essentially two very cost-efficient models, each giving you their own opinion, and then you have a slightly higher reasoning model like Terra, just taking that and giving you that final synthesized answer. And yeah, you can then, like I said, put things in project folders in Notion and do things like that. So yeah, I don't think you really need the MOA to add it to Notion, but anyway. So yeah, you can go ahead and, again, just for reference at the end of this, if you do want to set this up yourself, you can set up your reasoning. This will be the reasoning applied across the board as your default. So not just for your default model, but the default. So high and fast, solid for this kind of work. You want to have your mixture of agents enabled, and then you can select any model you want. You want Anthropic with Sonnet, Anthropic with, pick your Opus model, people like 4.6 still. And if you want to combine that with Minimax, go ahead. And you can even add another one, add a reference model here, and go crazy. You can use Llama Cloud. Llama Cloud has multiple models to select from, so you can have multiple models from Llama Cloud. If you want to use Luna, Terra, and Sol as your three agents and then have that synthesized by like V4 Flash, you can do that. The combinations are truly kind of endless in terms of what you can do here. And, depending on your work and what you're doing, there's a number of ways to set it up. I'm going to keep Flash, and again, Open Router is the same way. You could, pick and choose some models. Look how many models you can select just from Llama Cloud there. So you can use local models. Yeah, I mean, really the options are truly very open and endless. So let's put Luna back here with DeepSeek Flash with our Terra model here, and then we could just close that out. Okay, cool. And we actually have our Notion page here. I'll just show you that quick, just so you can see what it did. And here we go. We have our whole Google Ads strategy in Notion. You can share it with your team now. People can comment. And I like Notion because it even formatted it for us in these nice tables with a little strategy and checklist. So yeah, you can go ahead and do that. And that's the video for today. I have other models if you need to know how to connect your APIs and codex subscriptions. That's on the channel. Check that out. Yeah, lots of good stuff. Like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And I will see you next time.